Hi colleagues, welcome. This is Learn Extra Teacher Talk. Today in studio I have a guest. Her name is Robin Clark. Robin, great to have you with me today.
Thank you, John. It's great to be here.
Now, colleagues, Teacher Talk is about talking about issues relating to the classroom and our classroom practice. And today we're going to be focusing in mathematics and mathematical literacy on some issues relating to teacher networks and social media and how we can incorporate those into our network. Robin's an expert on that. She's done a lot of work, a lot of research. It's part of her daily practice. And so we're really excited to have her to learn a little bit about what's happening in the classroom.
Thanks.
But before we get into that, I just want to remind you about what Learn Extra is all about, the programs for learners in particular, resources to support your learners in helping them get a little bit of extra so that they can learn in their own time as well. So the schedule, you'll be aware in the weekday, we have a 4 o'clock session for grade 10 learners. That's a live session. At 5 o'clock is a grade 11 session, and at 6 o'clock there's the grade 12 session. And then on the weekends we've broken it down to Saturday being for grade 12s, and we're covering those subjects. Coming very soon in June, we're going to be adding to that accounting and geography. These are revision sessions that last about an hour and a half. They deal with typical past exam paper questions and deal with some of the key concepts that learners need to know. So I'm just going to make a note there that that's 1.5 hours. On Sunday, we alternate for grade 10 and 11, and we're dealing with maths, physical sciences, life sciences, and mathematical literacy. We repeat our live broadcast on Sunday afternoon as well, between 3 and 7 o'clock in the evening. Okay, now this session, this Learn Extra project, likes to hear from you, teachers and learners out there. And so we've got some channels for that communication. The first one is our phone number, 086 1058 262. The second, learners can email us, teachers can email us at helpdesk@learnextra.co.za. Then we have our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/learnextra. We've just passed 10,500 fans on that page, and we're really excited to see that growth. Teacher Talk's got a bit of a way to go. We have a Teacher Talk Facebook page as well. Get on there, have a look at it, and send your comments, and we'd love to hear from you with your suggestions. Right, now we're going to go to a short break, and after that break we'll get into talking about some issues around virtual networks and using social media in the classroom. See you then. Welcome back, colleagues. This is Learn Extra Teacher Talk, and we're here in studio, and I have a guest with me. It's Robin Clark. Robin's a maths and a maths lit teacher, and she's extremely passionate about both those subjects, but also about using technology in her classroom. So that's what we're going to focus on. I've just made a little title to it. We're going to go through some discussion points. Robin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been teaching for, and how technology has changed your teaching.
Well, I've been teaching for about 5 years now, 4 years in high school, and I just love teaching, so that's what I do every day. I teach at a school called Sekolo Sabarogo in Randburg, and wow, I'm just so lucky to have a lot of technology available to me in my classroom. So I've got my computer with my data projector, and I've got a little tablet, a slate tablet, which connects to my computer via wireless. And this means that I can roam around in my classroom and write notes on the board while I'm sitting at the back of the classroom, which is great for...
That's brilliant. Eh?
Yeah, great for kind of waking up the kids at the back of the class, as well as being in control of the board. So I find that very useful. The other way that I've incorporated technology into my class is I'm getting my learners to use cell phones more and more and more, and I get them to access the Siyavula websites when they need a little bit of backup, because they're great maths and science textbooks on the Siyavula website.
Those are the everything maths and science textbooks. Eh?
Exactly, yeah. And I have asked my kids to register on Twitter, so I can post homework onto Twitter. I also have a Facebook page where I post the homework. And most of all, I've asked them to make study buddy networks with each other using either Mixit or BBM. So late at night, if they're stuck on a problem, they can just quickly send a BBM to their friend saying, help me, I'm stuck. And they can tweet me as well and ask for help, but it's nice to teach each other.
Okay, so it's a real community that's developing out of these social media platforms.
Absolutely.
Okay, but now in your own professional growth, and I know this has been another topic that not only you use it in the classroom, but you're connected to a lot of people through a variety of networks.
Absolutely, absolutely. So on Twitter, I have a personal Twitter account and a class account, which I've just explained. But on my personal account, I like to post questions to other teachers. And if you sign up for Twitter and you really get involved, you do create this community of other teachers that you can ask for help, give ideas to. And I know a lot of people use this new word, PLN, Professional Learning Network.
Yes.
And I've connected with teachers all over South Africa and all over the world. And the other great thing is using the internet. There are beautiful resources out there that are available for free to everyone. And it's a pity that so many people don't know that there's just this wealth of information online. I like to use the TES website. I think it's called Teacher Education Services or something like that. It's run in the UK, but it has just stacks and stacks. Yeah. There's the Enrich website, which is great for kind of enrichment, especially in maths. And I know that there are a lot of teachers that have their own personal blogs where they blog on how their lessons went, great lessons. If a lesson didn't go so well and they've learned something from it, it's also a great way just to see.
So in that process, there's a learning that's taking place. It's a collective community that's getting stuff going.
Absolutely. And I don't think you can expect your learners to learn maths every day if you're not continuing learning yourself. And even if it's just how to teach slightly better every single day.
Now, what about some of the software tools? Because I know that you're being involved in going to conferences and workshops with tools that you're using.
Sure. Well, there's many different tools. I mean, if you learn how to use Word and Excel properly and well, then you can use it to your huge advantage, just in terms of streamlining setting of papers and collating your marks. In terms of maths, my favorite software is called Autograph, which has been authored by people in the UK, and you can use it for absolutely everything in maths, from just basic straight line graphs to parabolas to doing a whole range of statistical things.
Geometry
Transformation, transformation geometry especially, it's wonderful.
It is, and it's easy to use.
Very user-friendly for the basics, which is pretty much high school maths, but as soon as you start getting into 3D graphs and on 3 different planes, and
it does become a bit hectic, doesn't it?
Then you need to practice quite a bit before you get it right.
And is there support? I mean, is there a group behind that's
absolutely. There's
forums and that sort of thing?
There's an autograph conference every year in England, which you can, if you can afford to, or if your school can afford to send you, it's a great thing. Otherwise, there are online tutorials and videos of how to use Autograph, which are free.
That's great.
Freely downloadable.
Okay, so your professional development as well. I know you've been doing research and studying as well, but you've been able to meet people from all over the world and get in touch with them through networks, isn't that right?
Yeah. I find Twitter to be one of the most amazing tools just to talk to other teachers and professionals, and I find that people are very open on Twitter. They will share what they've been researching, how they're teaching, and Twitter's not only a what did I have for breakfast kind of a network, which a lot of people
I think that's a perception that lots of people have.
Unfortunately there are a few people who do say, I had great oats for breakfast, and you don't really want to know that. But a lot of people are using it more and more professionally to share links, to share websites, even just to send a link to their blog where they've explained something. It's great to get just up-to-the-minute news on. I love.
It is very instantaneous.
It's very instantaneous, and a lot of people worry that if they join Twitter, they'll never be able to keep up. And I don't think people need to worry, because even if you go onto Twitter for an hour a day, there's something that you'll be able to gain, and you should never fear about missing out, because if something is so important, it'll come up over and over again.
Yeah, because that was one of the questions that I had in the back of my mind, is about the overload of information. You've got Facebook, and you've got blogs, and you've got internet sites where there are resources coming, you've got newsletters, and you've got Twitter, and that's really a lot of information to deal with. So how do you discipline yourself? Do you, I mean, spend an hour a day or put specific time aside?
I think that, first of all, Facebook is a very personal thing, and if you want to look at your friends' wedding photos, then you should go onto Facebook. But if you want to connect with other teachers around the world for professional development, then Twitter's much more of a better option for that. Twitter's great for queues. If you're standing in the queue at the post office, if you're sitting in traffic, don't do it while you're driving, though. It's a great thing to do while you're waiting for something else. That
dead space.
Dead time. Otherwise, I usually have Twitter running on my phone, and when I do get the chance, I scroll through a couple of tweets and see what people have been saying. If I don't have the time, I don't feel bad about missing out. I think that on Twitter there are specific times. For example, I'll talk about hashtags later, but there's a specific hashtag, EdChatSA, which people all go onto Twitter at 8:30 on a Monday night and talk about a topic. And it's usually been voted on during the week. And I mean, for example, a few weeks ago they talked about homework. Is it important? Should we still be doing it? Should we forget it? What do you do if your kids don't do their homework? And teachers spoke about homework for an hour, from 8:30 until 9:30 on a Monday evening. And you use the hashtag and you follow along and you see what other people are saying. And after an hour you say, okay, great discussion. See you next week.
And out of that there comes a sharing of ideas. It's about being part of a community, and you're growing.
Absolutely, and you learn from others' mistakes, you learn from others' triumphs. It's great to be able to see what other teachers are doing. And I think teaching is a very isolated profession. You see the teachers in your school. I doubt that any of the teachers go into other teachers' classes in their school
very often,
if not at all. So it's a great way to connect with other teachers on a very friendly basis, non-threatening basis, to find out the ideas out there.
Sure. Now, you've not only been a follower, but you've been a thought leader as well, because you've been creating blogs and had important statements to say. Tell us a bit about that process. How's that evolved over time?
I initially started my blog by a request from my headmaster. He said at the beginning of last year that he wanted all the teachers to start a teaching journal, just to jot down at the end of every day or every week if they had any triumphs and any difficulties, and if they did have any difficulties, how could they overcome them or learn from them. And I said to my headmaster, I'm not a pen and paper person anymore. I'm going to make it a public forum, do it in a blog. I sent him my link, and I think I was very good. When I did start it, I would blog about every 2 weeks. More recently, it's a little bit slower, but it's nice to be able to share what you have learned from your class, and also to it's a way of sharing.
Yes,
I think teaching sometimes does become a very selfish profession as well, and if you make a resource, you want it all for yourself.
But I think there's a process in that. As you're journaling, as you're writing, you're reflecting on your process.
Absolutely.
And that thought that you've put into it will benefit not only you, but benefit your learners as well.
Sure. Self-reflection is definitely one of the best ways of learning.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, one of your early blogs that came across was this debate about maths and maths literacy. Now, you're in the position where you're teaching both.
Yes.
So how do you manage that? And where do you, just for the people that haven't read your blog on maths and maths literacy, where do you see maths literacy? Is it a dead end? Is it a useful alternative? For remembering that years ago there were learners that didn't have anything, and I think that's the essence of. But you carry on.
I think looking at the history of South Africa and the curriculum, there was a stage where learners would either do maths on higher grade, maths on standard grade, or maths not at all, so nothing. And I think there were options like business studies and,
and farming
and
woodwork,
agriculture.
Yeah.
And today, it's absolutely compulsory to do either maths or maths literacy. So what we're finding is that before maths lit was introduced, there was a large cohort of learners who just didn't have any maths at all. And today, I don't think maths literacy is taking away from maths necessarily. It's filling in the gap for kids who weren't doing maths at all, any maths at all. And it gives them just this functional ability to be able to say, gee, I'm being ripped off by my bank in bank charges. I'm gonna change banks, or I need to build a house. How many bricks do I need? Just the real basics, the real practical side.
Reading your lights and water account.
Yeah, and
making sense of all that.
A few years ago, I got my learners we did a project of a house. We wanted to buy a flat, and they had to go to the Saturday property paper, find something that they wanted to buy. They had to go to a bank and find out how much they could get a home loan for and how much their repayments would be per month. And I think that is a very real skill to have, because it is something that people hopefully aspire to do one day, is to buy a house, no matter how big or small it is. And if you have absolutely no clue what conveyancing fees are and a transfer fee is, you really are going to make a lot of work for yourself one day, and
it could cost you a lot of money as well. Yeah.
Nice to have a kind of a view on how to do it before you get there. So I think that if a learner ever came to me with the ability to do maths and said that they would rather do maths lit, I would really try to push them to do maths, because I think maths, in terms of your options for tertiary education, it's a lot better to have maths. But if a learner is dead set on studying something like drama or art, and they need more time to develop their drama and art portfolio, then I wouldn't say maths lit is a bad option. Also, I think that many learners in South Africa haven't had the greatest history when it comes to primary school maths and even grade 8 and 9 maths. And then maths lit should be considered as an option. But my first choice would always be to do maths, but I don't think that maths literacy should be kicked out altogether. I really think that there is a place for it in circumstances where it's appropriate.
Yeah. And so it needs to be an informed discussion between the school, the parents, the teachers, and the learner, and their future prospects. But it certainly gives value in terms of where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay. What about learners that have built up this barrier for maths? Is it appropriate for them to be doing maths literacy, where they've really got demotivated?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think maths literacy is a very friendly way into learning how to deal with numbers, and it's not threatening at all, because it deals with very real and everyday contexts that learners can understand. I also think that maths literacy shouldn't be thrown out, because many learners will say, I want to do maths, but knowing their capabilities, they'll only be able to get 20 or 30%, which really jeopardizes their matric, the chance of them passing matric. Whereas if you can get a good mark in maths literacy, you can still get through matric with a pass, and then have kind of more options in terms of going into university, not necessarily going into a BSc or a BCom, but there are
alternatives.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, I think we've covered most of the topics that we set out to. You're going to take us through the exciting world of Twitter, because that's your speciality. We're going to go to a short break, and after the break we'll be back to deal with the challenges of facing Twitter. I know that I'm needing to get up to speed in this area, so I'm looking forward to that discussion. And Robin's put together a few critical steps so that we're going to look at those and find out more about how we can get involved with using Twitter. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, colleagues. This is Learn Extra Teacher Talk, and today I have in studio as my guest Robin Clark, who's a maths literacy teacher, and she's got some really interesting ideas about using social media in her classroom, in the community, to assist her in a number of ways. And we've been discussing those ways, but in the second half of this particular session, I've asked Robin to talk to us more about Twitter and the advantages, disadvantages, if there are any, but the practical steps about setting up some Twitter accounts, because I think that from what you've said earlier, it makes sense that it's an ideal way for teachers to get connected.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's really, really simple to set up and to use. So I'm going to take you through the steps of kind of how to get going and the basics. So as you can see over here, all you need is an email address. It's that simple. And I use Gmail because Gmail is a free web-based email client that you can sign up for. And the great thing about Twitter is it's absolutely free, just like Facebook. You don't need to pay anything, and it's simple. So you can tweet from a computer, which is how I'm going to kind of get us started. And once you've set up your account on your computer, you can hook your cell phone up to it, and it's really easy to tweet from your cell phone as well, which is nice, because then you can tweet on the go wherever you are. And it's
the same account, whether it's on the computer or on your smartphone.
You just sign up either on the internet, or you can log in on your cell phone. And you can use it for yourself as a professional development tool, and you can also use it for your classes. You can set up a separate account and tweet homework and see if your kids want to interact with you on that platform.
Just before you go on, if you've set it up and you've used an email address, do you get notifications on your email that there's a tweet or anything like that?
You can set up your account exactly the way you want it. So you can ask Twitter to email you every single time somebody tweets you, which can get quite annoying if you're getting a lot of tweets. Or you can disable the notifications altogether. If you check Twitter often enough, then you really don't need an email every time somebody says something to you.
Says hello.
Yeah.
And a tweet is just a message. Am I right?
A tweet is a message, yes.
Okay.
And a tweet can go out to the general public, or it can go out to a specific person. But I'll get there. So when you sign up to Twitter, you'll get onto a page that looks something like this. The website is just twitter.com, which is fairly simple. And if you already have an account, you'll put in your username and your password over here and press sign in. But if you're new to Twitter, which is what I assume everyone who's watching is, then you'll go to this place over here that says new to Twitter, sign up. And what you do is, to start off with, you put in your name and your email address and a password, and you hit the sign up for Twitter button. And I haven't quite got all the pictures here, but it'll start to take you through, and it's a very user-friendly process. It'll take you through choosing a handle for yourself, and a handle is what people will know you by. It's kind of your nickname, or it can be your full name or whatever.
It's and like it always username.
It's like your username, and it always starts with the @ sign, and Twitter will then go through everything with you, suggest followers, or people to follow that you might be interested in. And unfortunately, Twitter usually starts off with Lady Gaga and President Obama and kind of, you know, the most popular people. But once you get used to it, you'll find that you don't want to really see what Lady Gaga has been doing. You'd prefer to see what people in South Africa are doing. A great way to get into Twitter is to follow kind of news channels and journalists, because they use it a lot and very effectively. So you'll be able to learn.
Is there a search process that you can search for particular areas? So if you're interested in maths education,
Absolutely.
can you search for people that are tweeting about maths education?
Yes, yeah. The Twitter sign-up page will guide you through the different topics that you'd like to search for as well. And as a Twitter 101, let's just go over here. The handle, that's your name, that's your nickname. So my name is Robin Clark. I'm Clark for maths because I'm not against maths, I suppose. And Learn Extra, that's your Twitter handle for Mindset. And I know that you guys are very interactive on the Twitter sphere when it comes to,
particularly for learners,
for learners and asking questions. And Art Preston and Gavin Keller are two great guys who are very involved in education in South Africa. Art is the founder of the EdTech conference, which are a series of conferences about using technology in education. And Gavin Keller does great talks on the teenage brain and what the teenage brain is like, and how to really teach your kids, keeping in mind that they've got this
strange
what
brain.
he calls the crocodile brain on the very inside of their brain, and they like to snap. But I'm sure
good people to follow.
I'm sure if you follow him, you'll find out all about it. It's very interesting. And then a hashtag is something that starts with a hash sign, and it provides themes for tweets, and it's often searchable. And when people go to conferences, they often give a hashtag to a conference. So for example, I was at a conference called the Inspired Teachers Conference, and everyone who went there who was tweeting would put in the hashtag Inspired Teachers, so that at the end of the day, if you clicked search for Inspired Teachers, everyone who used that same hashtag would come up in your search. So you would be able to see this kind of set of ideas and tweets and about
the Inspired
Teachers Conference.
Just so that I've got it clear in my own head as well. So when you're commenting, are you limited in terms of what you can say in terms of tweets?
Yes. I forgot to mention that you have a maximum, and I'll write this down over here, of 140 characters in which you have to fit everything that you want to say. So that's it's very concise, bite-sized chunks of information. And the great thing about Twitter is you don't only have to tweet words. You can tweet a link to a website. You can tweet a link to a picture. A lot of people twitpic, which means that they can take a photo, and it works great on cell phones. You just take a photo on your cell phone, attach it to your tweet, and it'll go out as a picture.
Okay.
So
that's great. Yeah.
That is.
So it's not an essay that you're going to have to read through every time you're following somebody's
absolutely
tweet.
Not. If you want to write an essay, put it up on your blog, and then tweet a link to your blog.
Okay.
The other great thing about Twitter is the meetings.
Okay.
And every Monday night, from 8:30 until 9:30, teachers are invited, or they gather on Twitter, this virtual space, and they all use the hashtag of EdChatSA. And there are various topics that come up every Monday night, and teachers talk about and share their experiences on the chosen topic, whether it be homework, what teachers think about technology in the classroom. If it makes you a better teacher, of course it doesn't, but it can help you.
Are those moderated? Is there somebody that...
Yes, it is, and it's moderated by that man over there.
Okay.
He kind of gives the welcome, sets the ball rolling, and people comment, and a discussion starts.
So it's not going to go totally off topic and be a hijacked.
Sometimes it does, but not very often. If you have a good moderator, it works very nicely. And because of Twitter, there's this whole new language that has sprung up.
Like when cell phones first came out.
Exactly. No one knew what an SMS was 50 years ago, but now everyone does. So it's quite fun making words up that starts with TW, and a lot of people get very lazy and they don't like to Google something, so they Twoogle something. So they send out their question on Twitter, and hopefully somebody will answer. And usually people put the hashtag Twoogle, so you know that you're too lazy to Google something. But there are a lot of other.
And tweeps? I haven't heard of tweeps.
Tweeps is like peeps, but all the people who you know on Twitter are your tweeps.
Tweeps. Okay.
A twar is when people start fighting on Twitter, and it usually has got to do with politics. That and Helen Ziller.
Okay.
People like to twar over what she says, which often happens. And then a twinterview. That's an interview that happens on Twitter.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So that's kind of your 101. What's what?
Now, you said earlier you've used it both personally for professional development, and I can see that, but you've used it in the classroom as well. Well, I think your next slides were about the classroom usage.
I think it is.
No. Well, let's just take the interface.
Let me take this slide. This is what your page would look like once you've started following people and interacting with people, and this is what the web Twitter interface looks like. So you would start off over here at home, and all the people you follow, their tweets will come up over here. So as you can see over here, that is a link to a website, and over here that is a hashtag.
Okay.
And over here this person has mentioned somebody's name. So if your name gets mentioned in another tweet, you'll get a notification that says somebody's spoken to you or spoken about you. And then Twitter always has suggestions about who you should follow, and that's quite nice. And Twitter's very kind of it remembers who you follow and suggests kind of who to follow based on
some intelligence behind it.
There is. Who knows how much they actually do. And if you want to say something, you go to this little blue pen over there, and if you click on Compose a Tweet, then you can either say something just to the general Twitterverse, or you can mention somebody's name if you want them to get that tweet directly.
Okay. And you can limit it just to that person, or not?
If you start a tweet with that person's name, they will get it along with whoever else is following you mutually.
Okay.
If you put their handle in a later part of the tweet, then everyone you follow will see it. And then you have something called a direct message, which is a private message, which goes directly to them and them only.
Okay, great.
So it's really easy to sign up and to tweet from a phone, and these are my grade 9s, and as you can see, it's not very big, but they're actually signing up for Twitter right there and then in my class. And this is kind of the the interaction that will happen between me and some of my learners. And of course, I don't use my personal account to tweet to my learners. I've got a dedicated SSB Maths handle. Which I use for my classes. And over here, a girl in my class was having a bit of trouble with one of her revision exercises. So she mentioned my handle in her tweet, and she said, determine the value of 10 to the power of x plus 3 if 10 to the power of x is 1.5. So this is me sending a message back to her, and I've mentioned her name in the front, which means only she'll see it. And I said the trick is that you don't actually need to find the value of x. This is the answer, and here's my solution. And that over there is a link to a picture. And this is the actual picture that I sent to her.
Okay, so you put it down.
I kind of scribbled out my working so that she could see exactly how my working was. And
then you took a photo of it?
I took a photo of it and tweeted it. And then she said, thank you, because it was obviously
What you
it helped
needed.
her. And I don't think I would ever be too keen to give answers straight away to learners if they didn't try. But because I've got, you know, you end up having a personal relationship with the learners in your class, so you know who's who. And this particular learner, I know she studies really hard, and she wouldn't ask for help unless she really did need it. So I think use your discretion. You can either give the full answer, or you can just kind of give hints to
Say, well,
yeah.
What do you think? You
What
know,
do you think? Or here's a hint
Yeah.
to start you off. So I don't think your technology should ever just be here's the answer, blah.
But it does bring you closer to your learners in a way,
Yeah.
I'm sure, because it gives them the opportunity to recognise that
Sure.
you're there as a support for them.
Sure, and I think that my learners have they've reacted quite well, because they've seen that I'm trying to connect to them on the level that they're interested in Facebook. And it's a pity I don't have any of my Facebook screenshots here, but it's the same thing. I post up the homework, and there usually are a couple of comments to say that was easy, or a like here and there. So it's very nice.
And you don't find that they abuse that, the fact that they've got you kind of on tap, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely not. I think
You haven't had to draw boundaries.
even though it's relatively new. I've only been doing it since the beginning of this year. I haven't had any problems yet at all.
Okay.
And the power of ignoring is also there. I mean, if anyone did harass me, because it's not a phone ringing or an SMS going off in the middle of the night. It's
Sure.
It's quite easy just to pick up your messages or your tweets the next morning.
There is power in delayed gratification as well.
As well, yes. Sure.
Okay. Do you have another example, just that was slightly different?
I have over here, this was just a funny one. Good luck to my grade 11s who are writing AP Maths. And Lesego said, well, it went very well. And over here I have quite a nice one asking me what I'll be doing in the next term, because one of my learners wanted to kind of plan ahead and get started on the next term's work. So I could say over here, we're going to do analytical geometry and trig. So it's nice to...
They could keep in touch with where they want to be.
Yeah. And it also just shows that you can be accessible to learners, because then these days I don't think there are many kids who want to put up their hand in class and say, ma'am, I'm getting stuck, I'm quite far behind, can you help me? And so it provides an almost, not anonymous, but a very safe way of interacting with your teacher without being embarrassed in front of your peers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent point, because I know that we get a lot of questions on Help Desk where you think, well, why aren't the kids asking those questions in class? But we recognise when we've interacted with them, not that they don't have a teacher, but they're perhaps just in a very big class and they can't get the attention.
The personal attention,
and
so they might be too shy to ask a question, or it might take a while for the question to be formulated in their own minds. That after a couple of hours, then they finally know what they want to ask, and they can then write it down.
Okay, good.
And another thing that is great is posting links to websites, and the one that I use most often is the Siavula website, which is over here. The everythingmaths.co.za and everythingscience.co.za, and they are full maths and science textbooks which are optimized to be used on cell phones, so they're very low in data charges, so kids don't complain too much about airtime.
Okay, and there's full marks as well. I think that teachers can get involved with on that site, where they're given solutions, or they can get tests, and kids can interact.
Absolutely, yeah. And some of the pages even have videos embedded into them. If you do have enough data or airtime to watch videos on your phone, you can get started with that.
Yeah. Okay, you were going to take us back to that previous page just to give us an overview of making Twitter work for you. Can you just take us through that?
I've been told, and this happened for me personally, that to really get involved in Twitter, takes quite a few months, because it takes a while to get used to the whole how to reply and interact and to start following people who you enjoy. So if you sign up for Twitter and get frustrated within the first week, don't give up. It really does. It took me at least 6 months to properly start using it to my advantage, if not a year. So don't be impatient with yourself. The thing that you need to do is to follow people and to start seeing what other people are saying. And a great way to start following people is to follow the hashtag, and especially EdChatSA. On EdChatSA you'll see teachers tweeting. So it's great to follow teachers, because I assume that's what people will start using Twitter for, as a personal, professional development in your teaching sphere. And follow journalists. They always have something controversial and interesting to say. And everyone from Floyd Shivambu to Julius Malema to Ferial Haffajee to, you know, there really are a lot of kind of interesting political people on Twitter at the moment who really make it worthwhile. And if you have the time to
sure.
follow.
But being aware of what's happening is also can help you feed back into the classroom, because maths literacy is about the real world, isn't it? So you might come across some interesting ideas that can be formulated into an investigation or a question.
Yeah. I've got a great example. Just before class I was reading through Twitter, and at that moment it was breaking news of the tsunami in Japan. So what I did is I cancelled my lesson. I put on a live feed through the internet onto projected onto the class, and we kind of watched what was happening. And then for a few lessons after that, my maths class talked about, you know, the economic downturn that Japan might get after the tsunami, and we really spoke about maths and how it would affect Japan after this thing that we saw happening live on our board. So it really does. It can help you. So my first step to make Twitter work for you would be to follow people.
Yeah.
Secondly, tweet them. You know, and tweet people and tweet your ideas. And I don't think you're going to get any interaction if you don't kind of start a conversation or reply to a conversation. You really need to be interactive. And if somebody tweets you, reply back to them. And the best thing about Twitter is if you say something controversial, somebody always has an opinion that they want to share or reply to you, or so it really.
You're not going to get silence.
No, I mean, it might take a while for people to start hearing what you say, but I mean, don't be completely silent, because then chances are people are going to think you've got nothing to say, and they won't want to follow you.
Yeah, sure.
And what I don't think I did mention is that Twitter isn't like a Facebook relationship where if you become friends with somebody, both people see what each other says. So I could follow you, but you don't necessarily have to follow me back. So I'll be able to see what you say, but you don't necessarily see what I say. So, but Twitter becomes worthwhile when people start following each other.
Yeah.
And it's great. The other thing is join conversations. I've already mentioned EdChatSA on a Monday night. The other great one to do, which is an international one, which is Math Chat, and maths teachers from all over the world log on to take part in Math Chat. And
is it regular? Is it scheduled?
It is regular. It's also a weekly thing. I think Math Chat is also on a Monday night, but because it's on UK time zones, it ends up being quite late at night. I think it's either 9:30 or 10:30, depending on daylight savings time. So, but you know, there's always regular tweets that let you know when it is.
Okay.
So, and then tweet links, also pictures. I often send out a picture of a extension question that I'm doing in my grade 11 or 12 class, and people love it.
Yeah.
Everyone clamours to see who can solve it first, and tweets me back the answers, and you know,
So
it's great.
it is an opportunity to share as well, and the more you share,
the more you get back. I think absolutely, yeah. And it ends up being a lot of fun as well. I mean, I've actually made a lot of good friends, personal friends through Twitter as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Robin, thank you so much for taking time out and sharing with us about the virtual networks that you're involved with. And I hope that's given you some ideas about how you can be involved in using technology, even if it's simple technology like the cell phone, to improve learners' interaction, engagement with this topic that you're dealing with in either maths or maths literacy. And I'm sure that if you try it, you'll find that it's worthwhile. Thanks for joining us, from myself and from Robin.
Thank you.